Over the lockdown period, I've been speaking to many singers and many entertainers and artists and catching up with them, see how life is and what's going on. I'm delighted to give a big welcome to a gentleman who's made huge name for himself and huge inroads. A busy lad he has been over this past few years in music. The one and only Johnny Brady. Johnny, how are you?
Good, Jerry, man. Thanks very much for having me on the show, and hello to all your listeners in lockdown, as you say. It's great to be part of the show. How are you keeping?
Not too bad at all, Johnny. Not too bad. Busy with the radio and all the rest of it, but miss being out doing the road shows and all that around the place, as I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really missing. I suppose it's maybe almost 12 weeks now since I've done a gig, and the first few weeks was kind of strange. You thought maybe that wee breakaway wasn't too bad, but now I'm sort of really missing the lads in the band, missing performing, singing the songs, missing people, because I'm a real people sort of person, and I'm so used to. I mean, I've been in the band for 28 years, Jerry, and it seems like it's been my whole life. I'm 44 now, and I started actually at 15. And I was in a full-time band working 3-4 nights a week from that point, from a kid. And it's just been so amazing to have all these different experiences, so many different bands and types of music. So it is, I'm really missing it. But like I say, it's great to be on your show, because I think radio right now at the moment has never been maybe more important. It's always a very important thing, and to get radio play is amazing, to get out there, to talk to people, to let them hear your music. But whenever you can't get out yourself, it's one of those things that has really come to the forefront, So thanks a million for having me on here.
No, it's a real pleasure, Johnny. I mean, it definitely must have been a huge shock to the system. It must have been okay, sort of initially to be off, but it must be overall like a huge shock to the system to be off for that period of time after having played for so many years all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, like I say, I was so used to doing my gigs, sort of 3-4 gigs a week for that amount of years. But I suppose for everybody's safety and all that kind of thing. But I didn't think, and I couldn't have believed that this could have happened to the world, that the world could have stopped, and literally the world is just kind of stopped right now. I know there's a few countries that are operating a bit better than others at the whole thing, but and thank God, like I'm in Northern Ireland here, and we haven't done that bad at all. We've done really well, and everybody's been really cool, staying in and really trying their best, and out clapping for the National Health on a Thursday and all this kind of thing. And even my wife Tony, like, she was kind of doing the shopping, and I wasn't really out at all, other than walking the dogs, if I'm honest with you. That was all I was doing, and it is a big shock to the system, and it's but I think as it goes along, you get a bit more used to it, and I'm hoping it doesn't go on for too long. I'd love to get back working again,
Indeed, I can well believe it. You've had huge success with your, with the country band and doing your own sort of style of country. You managed to sort of put your own stamp on the music with some of the hits that you've had.
Yeah, I mean, look, Irish country music, as you well know, and a lot of people that are fans of it, has been something that's been going on for years here in Ireland, and it's an institution, really. We're going back to the days of Big Tom and, Philomena Begley and Susan McCann. Like, my mum was in the Susan McCann fan club. I mean, my grandfather was an uncle of Big Tom's, so he was like, my mum were first cousins, so like he was a big name in our house. And my grandfather actually owned a wee place down in Castleblaney. He called it Chilling Hill, but that's where Tom's mum was born, and my grandfather and Tom's mum were brother and sister. So like, and I would have met Big Tom a lot through the years growing up. So I remember what that music was like, and for me it was great music, and it's very nostalgic. But when coming through my sort of thing with having all the different experiences and listening to the likes of the Eagles and rock and blues and all this kind of thing, I kind of ended up really gravitating towards that, and the country as well, the American country. So I think that's why I maybe had that wee different sort of a take on Irish country, which is, it's kind of nice to be different, because I mean, all the artists are different, of course, but yes. I think with this new wave, I suppose since Nathan and Derek and probably like Lisa and stuff that came through, they were the first sort of three younger ones that came through and made that wee different sort of sound, and that actually let somebody like myself come into the country and try and do your own wee thing on it. And even going back and forward to like the Nashville and stuff like that, and writing and trying to record songs there, they do play it a little bit different than we do. So I've always kind of liked that, and it seems to be people like what I do. So I'm very lucky that it's worked out. It's worked out that way, but it was a long road to get to there. Do you know what I mean? I've been doing so many gigs to get to there, and even starting in country, it wasn't. People didn't take to me straight away, if you know what I mean. It was because it was a wee bit different. But now, and it was actually, I tell you, it was actually Robert Mazel said to me one time about sticking to my guns, because he says to me, Johnny, stick to your guns, man. Do what you do, because you don't try to change too much, because what you do is good. And he says, you are different, a wee bit different than me, or maybe say Jimmy, and they're all different from each other. Yeah. So he was right. It was good advice to get from somebody like that who had a huge career already, so it was great.
Indeed, it definitely was. One interesting one, and I think it was probably one of the first huge successes you had, was the very, very Irish song, The Night Pat Murphy Died.
Yeah, Night Pat Murphy Died. That was a song, actually. It was mad. The first version I had heard of that song was actually a band called the Dropkick Murphys. I think they're actually an American band, but they do all the big Irish festivals over there. And the version they did of it was more like a Pogues, real up-tempo version. So we had to sort of strip it back, make it a little bit more folky, and still put that straight beat to try and make it a bit more Irish country in that. And actually it was Jonathan Owens from Spirit Studios, who would be very well known at the start when I did my first album. I did that with him in order to try and make the album as successful as it could. And I think it was the right idea at the start coming on the road. It was a bit more tame and a bit more Irish country than maybe what I did after that. You know what I mean? Because but Pat Murphy was a big song for me, and actually on YouTube hits and stuff like that, it was one of the bigger ones at the start. You know what I mean? Until the likes of Chicken Fried, and actually there was another song I had was a big I Reached the Bottom Yet was another song that actually was written by Sean, who drummed with Mike Denver. And when I heard that song, it was another sort of an Irish. I didn't do a lot of Irish songs. It was kind of more country, but just took a wee chance at this and they actually worked really well,
It did. But it also resonated at the time. Have we reached the bottom yet? Because it was that was really at the lowest ebb that things were with the recession.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. No, and a lot of people said that. A lot of people were leaving and going. It's kind of funny, actually, in a way, that there was a recession there, and who knows? Hopefully, we don't go into another one, but chances are that we may well do. But the actual Irish country really had a resurgence from that whole recession, and I think it was because people were trying to get out, going away to work, and that really resonated with them, going to the likes of Australia and stuff like that. And a lot of young Irish people always will do that. They'll travel and they'll do their year in America or a year in Australia. Is a very popular one. It was lucky just that song at that time. It's all about timing. I say sometimes people are just lucky, and you just get the right song at the right time.
Yes.
And you could be either world famous, or you could do well in a certain country or a certain town, and it was just timing, I think.
Indeed, it certainly worked very well. You've recorded quite a number of albums, with quite a number of songs over the years.
Yeah, I've done 5 albums through country music in the last 8 years, and I'm still recording away. It's very difficult. It's sort of changing a little bit now, where albums they're not as important as they used to be, kind of thing. But this is only something that I'm not sure if I'm right by saying this now. This is only my opinion, that Spotify and all these new things, say for instance, obviously radio will play a single. They don't get a chance to maybe play an album as much as maybe on certain nights where you're having classic albums or something like that. But with a lot of the younger generation now, or not even so much young, even my generation, or even my older generation than that again, you get Spotify and you can have a playlist of so many songs, and in 1 minute it could be Johnny Brady doing Reach the Bottom Yet, and the next thing could be AC/DC or Hall & Oates, or I don't know. It's crazy. So it's all about trying to pick a single. And being in Nashville a couple of times, they seem to be so driven, not so much by albums but by singles. If you can get the right single, then if you get a big song, then you think about releasing an album. You know what I mean? And that's
Yes.
kind of the way I'm sort of going forward with it now, is trying to find the right songs, whether I write them or not. It's no odds. I mean, Derek Ryan wrote a song for me. I've written some songs with Nashville artists that didn't really do that I recorded and maybe didn't do as well as, say, recording a song like Chicken Fried or Reach the Bottom Yet, or a song, you know. So I'm just looking for songs all the time that I think will suit me now, more so that'll suit me now, voice wise and stuff like that. So it's very difficult to know what to do right now at the moment, you know.
Indeed, indeed. Now you also do you also do an Eagles show as well, Johnny.
Yeah, you know, it was something again. It was another time thing where you know, being in the country scene, that opened up a lot of doors for me. I met a lot of different people, and I met a family band there from Athlone called the Sheerans. Now, they're a very talented bunch of guys. They're all great singers and musicians, and they're very Eaglesy sounding actually with their harmonies, because they've got that real family tight harmony thing going on. And then there's a guy also, Simon Casey, would be from around that part of the world as well, and then a guy called Nigel Connell,
Yes.
and then myself, obviously. So there's 10 of us in the band, and basically what we're doing is, it's a kind of a, I suppose it's a tribute to the Eagles, a tribute to their music more so than trying to maybe we're trying to do the songs as best as we can do them, you know,
Yes.
obviously, but what we all do is we all love the Eagles, and this started out basically as a night we were going to do, and it was just for fun, and the next thing, the thing just went crazy, and everybody wanted tickets for it, and we'd end up playing 1,000-seaters, and, you know, we didn't know what to do with ourselves. Actually, whether it goes ahead or not, there's a tour for Germany booked.
Wow.
You know, so I don't know whether that's going to. I mean, it's 10 nights in Germany, and it's all booked in. But whether that goes ahead, I think it's November time. So whether that goes ahead or not, I don't know. We had 18 dates just here in Ireland at the start of the year, and sure, we only did a couple of dates before the lockdown thing, and then so it's really tough. All those things. Was to be probably. It's weird to say it's at 44, like, but it's probably going to be the biggest year that I've ever had in music, because my own thing was I just did a weekend in Galway, which I do every year, but this was the biggest I've ever had, and completely sold out weekend, you know, and like, people are just really, you know, they're into what they're into what we're doing, and I'm very lucky that is the case, because it's very hard to get people to go out, and I feel that, you know, people work hard all week, and to get them to spend their money to come out and see things, you know, people pick and choose where they want to go, and it makes you feel special that way, you know.
Indeed so. I must say you did a great version, yourself and Simon Casey, Nigel Connell and the Sheeran family band on the Eagles classic Take It Easy.
Yeah, well, that's one of them. I mean, the thing about the Eagles gig is that there's certain songs that have to be in there, you know, and that's one of them for sure. I mean, the Eagles, my dad first, I remember my dad bought it was a cassette tape at the time. And this would have been in the 80s. Like, I was probably, I'm trying to think, I might have been about 8 or 9 at the time. And he bought a cassette tape. He bought two cassette tapes. He bought Brothers in Arms, Dire Straits, and he also bought the Best of the Eagles. And I remember he was listening to a lot of Irish country. He listened to a lot of old folk music, and he listened to a lot of Irish country, and he loved that. He was a lorry driver. And he used to listen. I mean, he always bought tapes to listen to in the lorry, and we would go to Donegal, believe it, to a very well known place called Kilmanny, which has a great big festival there every year. It's one of the biggest festivals in Ireland every year, and it's the first week in August. We would have went there whenever we were kids. Now, the festival wasn't as big, although it was a big festival even then. But he used to put the Eagles on in the car, and that's when I first heard them, and I just loved them ever since. And, you know, to get to do these songs with a great bunch of guys that are very, very talented lads. For me, I think, geez, I've done something right. Thank God, because, you know, I wish my dad, my both parents are passed on now. Sadly, they died at a young age, which wasn't, you know, which is a bit crazy. But I think of the good things, like these songs that my dad let me hear, and, you know, things that my mum has done for me, things like that. And I think about them a lot when I do that gig, because they sort of introduced me to a lot of my music. So it's, you know, it's cool.
Excellent, that is excellent. I believe you've done a couple of little things live on Facebook for charity since the lockdown.
Yeah, I've done a few things. You know, I will say honestly, the whole going live thing, I think it's great for me to watch everybody else doing it, and I've never seen as many talented people. It's amazing. I don't enjoy doing it so much myself. It's a bit weird because you're just kind of looking at your phone, and I really feed off an audience. I really find it difficult not to have an audience in front of me, even if it's not a big audience, just something that I can see and relate to. But then that's maybe just me being in music for so long and doing it that way. Maybe it's going to be the future, that there's more live things go on from home, and if that's what it's going to be, then sure I'll have to do a bit more of that. But I'm enjoying a lot of the live stuff that people are doing, and I did a couple of things for charity, because that's the only things I'm really doing, is if it's a charity thing, or maybe the odd time I'll stick up. If I think of a song someday, and I might just learn a song, and I might just say, right, you know what, I'll stick this up, and I'll just record a video of me in the kitchen, and I'll stick it up for the crack, just for people to have a listen, and they can like it or not like it or whatever. And sometimes you get a few comments, and it gets a wee bit of conversation going, and just with country fans and stuff like that. So it's great to have the internet for all that kind of stuff. It's very cool,
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Johnny, listen, it's been lovely to catch up with you. I'm delighted that you're doing well. Well done on the doing those few charity things and all the rest of it, and also all your other endeavours. And listen, fingers crossed that you'll be back, and indeed we'll all be back in action as soon as it's safe to do so. And it's been lovely catching up with you in County Antrim. Stay well and stay safe to yourself and the family.
Yeah, Jerry, thanks a million for having me on the show. Look, yourself, you stay safe too. To your listeners, thank you. I hope I haven't talked too much to you guys, but it's been cool to be able to come on and have a little chat, and get to know you as well, and get to chat to your listeners. So thank you very much, and stay safe, and let's hope, like you said, get back to normality at some point, if that can be the way, and get back playing music again, which I love to do. It's a great gift that I've been lucky to have.